Hello, everybody. Tony Rizana here for the Affiliate Party Podcast. Today, we're going to discuss being informative and also entertaining. Can you do one? Can you do the other? Or can you do both? Let's get into it. But first, a commercial. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Affiliate Party Podcast. Now, let's all go back in time. Let's take a step into the DeLorean, huh? Let's go back in time. Now, do you remember when you was in elementary? Let's all go back. Elementary, you had a teacher. She was very exciting. She had things very fun. It was fun. It was entertaining. You learned something. And then think about the most boring, the most dry talking, listening to teacher that you ever had in elementary. I already know mine. One of the most entertaining people I had was in the 5th grade, Miss Wagley. Miss Wagley was great. She was entertaining. I mean, we did a talk on drugs. She made these faces. She made faces so good, I couldn't help but to laugh. And then she said, "This is a very serious subject, sir. You shouldn't be laughing." I said, "Sorry, Miss Wagley." But I couldn't help. She's very entertaining. And then the next year, the teacher was she's very dry. She's very boring. She wasn't a lot of fun, of course, like the last day of school, every teacher's a bag of laughs then, but for the whole year she wasn't fun at all. So that's my most exciting was 5th grade, and most boring was 6th grade, but for you, just think about it. Now, of course, you learn from both, but I remember the 5th grade a whole lot more than I remember the 6th grade, and I'm a 41-year-old man. So there you go. Now, what does that have to do with you? What does that have to do with business? Now, we've all seen these people on TV. We'll say a guy like Jim Cramer. He's very entertaining. I watched the show once, Mad Money. I know a little bit about the stock market. I'm not a Wall Street tycoon. I don't claim to be. I watched the show. It was entertaining. And I thought, this guy, he must know his stuff, But then one day I've watched a few shows about corrupt companies, kind of shady companies, and who's always giving them the thumbs up? Jim Cramer. I'm like, is Jim Cramer more of an entertainer than he is information? And I had to put two and two together. And I thought, well, I can watch Mad Money and be entertained, but I don't think I'm gonna put in. I might not put a lot of stock in Jim Cramer. I'm not sure. I would have to do more research before I came to a final conclusion. But right now, it's looking like 75 entertainment. And I guess if Jim Cramer gives you some information, maybe you should do the opposite. But Jim Cramer's he's a entertaining information person, but who knows if the information is good or not, but it's up to you. And there's plenty of other examples about people that are, kind of, when they talk, it's pretty dry, it's pretty boring, but they're informative, you know what I mean? So you have to give a little bit of both. Now, when I say entertaining, I don't mean you have to go, you don't have to become you don't have to become Henny Youngman, you don't have to be Henny Youngman, you don't have to be Jack Benny, you just have to be yourself, If you have a sort of dry sense of humor, then just do that, If you are more, outspoken, outgoing, then be that, just be who you are, of course, we all have to, you can't just be, it's sort of like reality TV. They are who they are, but then they just sort of, I shouldn't say, no, I'm not going to say reality TV. I'm gonna take it back to wrestling. I used to watch a lot of wrestling, and I listened to Stone Cold Steve Austin's podcast, and he was like, "Hey, I was just being me. I just had to crank it up to a volume of 10." And I was like, that's good. That's good to know, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Thank you. So I have to be who I am, you have to crank it up a little bit, if you saw me walking down the street, if you said, "Hey, Tony, I enjoy your podcast," I would say, "Hey, thanks," and we would chat a little bit, but I wouldn't be like, hey, yeah, mother, you know, I mean, I wouldn't do that, you know. I would go, hey, thanks, you know. I would say, hey, how are you, you know, what are you doing, you know, blah blah blah. We make conversation, you know. Then we were going about our business, but you know, I get on the podcast. I realize, you know, I had to be entertaining. I had to be informative, but you know, you also got to be yourself. See, so you want to do it. You want to put those three things into a pot, pour a little water in it, mix it with a little. Well, I'll put a little cinnamon in it because I love cinnamon myself. But whatever ingredients you want to use, put it in there, and then voila, there you go. Now, of course, you want to be informative. You want people to learn something every time you discuss things. You know. That's one thing. That's why now I do a little more. You know, you might not think this, people, but I do a little more research into this podcast. You know, try to figure things out before I just hit the record button and start recording. You know, it's a method to the madness around here at the Affiliate Party Podcast, huh? And of course, but no, yeah, you don't want to be paint. That's all I'm saying. You don't want to be paint, you know. You don't want to be 100% entertaining. You want people to learn. Every time that they listen to the podcast, you want them to learn something. And every time that, you know, that you talk, you know, I just said that. Never mind. Anytime you do a podcast, you want them to learn something, you know. You want the people to think about something when they, you know, once they get done listening, you know. And of course, if you listen to this podcast every day, because we come at you every day, you know, I want you to listen, you know, give it a few thoughts, and then apply to what. I'm gonna tell you this: when you listen to this podcast, what I want you to do is take things that you might learn from this podcast, apply them to your business, and keep going. And the one thing that I will always tell anybody is just keep moving your feet. You know, you know the direction you're going. Sometimes the direction might change a little bit, but when you listen to this podcast is about, even though this podcast is the Affiliate Party Podcast and it has to do with affiliate marketing, this is about any kind of business that you want to get started. I want you to just move your feet, because as long as you keep moving your feet, you will find what you're looking for, and things will happen. You have to put in the work, though. You know, it's not a magic pill. Unfortunately, we have to take. It's not a magic pill. You have to keep going. You'll find it. You know. But yeah, that's the whole goal of this. This should be the whole goal of anything that you listen to these days. You know. Matter of fact, anything that you watch, when you start getting deeper into it, anything you watch, anything you listen to, you can always sort of think about it. Put your marketing hat on, put your entrepreneur hat on, and apply the things that you watch and you listen to your business. You know, it doesn't have to be a marketing book. It doesn't have to be a business book. It doesn't have to be any of that. You can watch TV. You can watch a TV show. You can watch a movie, and you can think about the thing in the movie, and you can go, you know what? That's good for my business. Because a couple months ago, I watched Shawshank Redemption, and I watched this movie 50 times. 50 times. I love that movie. That's my favorite. That's one of my favorite movies. I can't say it's my favorite, but it's one of my favorite movies. I listened to this. And then I sat there a couple months ago, and Red was talking to Andy, and he was talking about, well, do you think you'll ever get out? And Red said he was institutionalized, and it just hit me. And I was like, oh my God. And I was like, man. I said, I feel kind of institutionalized when it comes to my job, you know, because I'm used to driving 15 years of driving trucks, you know. I'm used to that, and I'm moving away from that, you know. And I thought about that, and I applied it to marketing, and I made that into an email, I think. Yeah, I wrote an email about it, you know. It was a pretty good email. I'm going to have to keep that email and do a little recycling of that email, you know. But things like that, you know. So now every time I listen to a radio show, anytime I listen to a podcast, I watch TV, watch a movie, I go, okay, they entertaining me, but I'll take a little notes, you know. I have a notebook pull it out, take a few notes, keep those notes, you know, You can always use them. You can always use them for a podcast. You can always use them for a video, anything. So, I mean, that's what's one. I know this is about being informative and entertaining, but well, if you listen to this podcast, sometimes we go down a different path, because you can apply any and everything to a business. So, take your life lessons and apply them to your business, and you'll be okay at the end of the day. All right, but yeah, that's that. Be informative, be entertaining, and you don't have to. I'll tell you something. If you listen to this podcast, and sometimes when I start talking fast, my hand is just moving. I'm moving. My hands start moving. I get to going. So I hope you are entertained by this podcast, but I also hope you are informed by this podcast as well. So that's that. I've talked long enough. Oh yeah. Before I go, I will tell you. Before I go, I will give you a SEO tip. Okay, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, and children of all ages. Okay, so I told you the other day I wrote my pyramid scheme. I wrote my pyramid scheme article. Put it on my blog. Put it on my website, or whatever you want to say. So, I put it on there. I use a tool called Yoast SEO. And Yoast lets you know if the readability of the article is good, and I also let you know if the keyword of the article is good. It'll give you a green dot. So when I first started, a lot of times it was orange, sometimes it was red. That means the SEO was bad, SEO was bad, or the SEO was okay. Every time you write a post on your website, you want the SEO to be good on the Yoast, because the better it is, the more the better the SEO is. If, the green, the more people will be able to see it. Now, I wrote this article. It was a 1,000-word article, 1,100 words, something like that. It don't matter. But I talked about pyramid schemes. So of course the title was pyramid schemes, and then the first of the article. Now, one thing you can't do is keyword stuff. So I didn't keyword stuff, but naturally, in the first sentence, pyramid schemes. And the word pyramid schemes sprinkled throughout the article. So that helped. And then another thing that you have to do when you want to write a good article that can get ranked, you want to use different links. Like I clicked the link for a YouTube video about pyramid schemes on there, and then I put a link about a MLM on there, and then there's an article that I read about pyramid schemes. I linked that article to the article. So that helped me get the good SEO green dot on the Yoast. So that being said, if you ever want to write articles, always remember don't keyword stuff, because Google, the algorithms, they will find that and they will not rank your article high. But if you naturally do the keyword, of course, if you know what keyword you want to use, put it in the title. Put it in the beginning of the article, and then just throughout the article, sprinkle it in. Use some references, and then if you have articles that you have already written, you can always say, "Hey, reference this article." That's called what is it called? Outbound or links. Now, the one thing I had to get down pat is backlinks. I haven't mastered backlinks yet, but I'm working on that. But anyway, I just wanted to give you that little information, that little SEO tidbit. Also, I have to get better at this with my podcast. If you do SEO with anything, like SEO for Medium, make sure you're using keyword. Make sure the keyword you use in the title, you have it in your article, and make sure you have it sprinkled throughout the article, because Medium is a pretty good platform you can use if you want to write. If you don't have a website, and also people will find your articles online if they type in something, it could pop up. So that And then you want, of course, SEO for the YouTube. If you do a YouTube channel, you want to use the SEO in the title. Then, of course, you sprinkle it out. If you talk in the beginning, say it in the beginning. Then, if you have a trailer, go to the trailer. Then, when you start the meat of the YouTube video, bring up the keyword again. You know, like I said, naturally do it. Don't stuff it. You'll figure it out. You will naturally. Once you get going, you will get into the habit of doing it naturally, you know. I have gotten better at this with the articles I write. I have to get better at that with the podcast, and I have to get better at that with the YouTube videos. But, you know, practice, as we always say here. But that's it. I just want to give you that little tidbit. See? Informative and entertaining, all right? There you go. But anyway, that's it for today. This is early podcast. It's early in the morning around here. It's 10 o'clock my time. But hey, I appreciate you listening. Come back again tomorrow. More hard-hitting podcast. I told you we're doing this every day for the next year straight. And then we might take one day off. All right? So far, so good. We've only missed like a couple of days of podcasting. But we're on the roll, everybody. All right? Once again, my name is Tony Rizzano. This is the Affiliate Party Podcast, and we will talk to you tomorrow. And as always, say it with me, everybody. Peace.